Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It is morning here in Calgary, and I have got Michelle Hrycauk Nassif with me today, and it is so amazing. We were just talking about how hot it is here in Calgary, and in Puerto Rico, I'm sure you're also cooking. So air conditioning, anything we can do, cold drinks. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing very well. And, yes, the AC is running. Cold showers are happening on the regular. I'm very grateful to be in this beautiful, beautiful place. I love it. I'm 2 blocks from the beach and just fully immersed in culture. I love it.
That's amazing. On my wall on the other side here, I've got my picture of my sailboat and the mountains and the water. And so I'll just sort of live vicariously through my picture and the stories of you on the beach. It's so amazing to have you here. And for those of you that have been following Candy, you know that we have a new program that's just setting to launch this fall. It's called the Connection Architect program. And the cool thing about this program is that it is a culmination of so many parts of my life, like Candy has been in event planning and promotions. But a lot of the work that I do with my coaching clients and the event planning teams is really about how do we get down to the point, the main connection that you're trying to accomplish in your event or your promotion. And this Connection Architect program was really birthed with the idea that the foundation has to be strong, connections first. And Michelle, you and I have been talking about this for over a year now in your work, and I'm so thrilled that you're on with us, not just as a mentor in the program. We've got over a dozen mentors right now, all ready to go for fall. But Michelle, you are coming on as a mentor. You've got such amazing experience in connecting communities, bringing specifically women together, but I know you're expanding that. But you're also now in this role of community building for the Connection Architect community, but also this amazing liaison with our mentors, helping them to show up for the community, helping them to share their expertise. And you have been going through interviews with them in the last couple of weeks here, asking them what connection means to them. What does that look like in their work, in their lives? So we're going to get into that a little bit through this interview this morning. But I'd love for you to start to tell us a little bit about you, your work, and why connection matters to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. And, I am a self-proclaimed holistic producer. So I identify my leadership as being a feminine leader, holistic producer of embodied experiences where women can create meaningful impact. And that has been the foundation of my work this last few years, and really was born from the realization that it didn't matter what stage of life I was in, I was a leader. And when I knew and I could identify, articulate, and embody that leadership, that was when I would make the greatest impact in the world.
Yeah.
So, as a stay-at-home mom, being in transition, and reflecting on my life and all of the different events that led me to that point, I realized that I have always been a natural connector. And that has always been such a strong foundation in everything that I've done. So being a part of this program, supporting you this year, has been just like a full circle experience for me as a professional, because I feel like it really is the ultimate opportunity for me to not just contribute to a really amazing program that is going to help so many people, but also share the knowledge that I've accumulated over, 37 years on this planet. So I really appreciate that. And connection for me truly is about embodying who you truly are in the moment and sharing that authentically, personally and professionally. Because when we are able to be who we truly are, and we are able to share ourselves holistically, that is when our impact is the strongest, when we communicate with the clearest, most concise language, and when we create and foster that community feeling around us.
I love it. And I think like you said, from when you were young, you have been a natural connector. So can you give us one example? I know we didn't plan this before, but can you give us one example as a kid, little Michelle, at school or with your groups that you were part of back then, or your family? What would be one example of you connecting others together?
Sure. And, you know, I have to give a lot of respect and honor to my mama, who is no longer with us. Because if it wasn't for her, my leadership journey would not have started when it did. But I remember being as young as 10 years old and my mama encouraging me to participate in the youth group in our church. And I was a very shy, kind of introverted child. I was bullied a lot as a child for my weight, for my hobbies, for everything. You know, it's adolescence. That's adolescence for a lot of people. They get bullied. And so my mama saw this potential in me, this nurturing quality in me. And she said, you know what, join this group called the Angels and surround yourself with like-minded people and see what can happen. And honestly, that was the tipping point for my leadership, because I was a youth leader up until I graduated high school. I organized, facilitated, and managed youth retreats. And I was just in a space where I was able to really just express myself and to create space for people to do that for themselves. And so, you know, now as an adult, I'm realizing that leadership and that faith that someone saw in me, you know, was something that I've carried with me always. And even though, you know, some of my career's had a few pivots, you know, but that has been the constant in my life, is that wherever I go, people remember how it feels to be around me. We create incredible experiences together, and there's some resonance there. There's a wake there. And that for me is the richness and the depth of this program, is showing people their potential to do that for themselves.
I love it. And that kind of just gave me chills, because what your mama gave you is what I'm hoping. And I truly believe the mentor group that have come on board and they've offered their time, their expertise and their energy around this. We all need people in our lives that are going to say, you have the ability to step up, not only to step up to what you know and embrace what you have felt you've always been great at, but where else can you, like you said, pivot? Where else can you pivot? Where else can you embrace something that maybe there's been a little spark that somebody mentioned to you that you'd be great at. But this idea of coming to it from this desire, this really strong drive to connect people or ideas or projects, you may not feel you're, for others, you may not feel you're a natural connector. But what you're saying, Michelle, is that you had somebody that saw that in you and was able to inspire you to live a life like that. And now you do that for clients, for other people in your life, where you become a community builder. Maybe you're a community manager, you're building your own programs. Could you tell us a little bit about your work now and how that's inspired the work that you're doing in your own zone? You've got a new website that's coming up. You've got a new program you're developing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of this wouldn't be happening without you, Lisa. So I have to give you credit for that as well, because at this stage of life, you've been my champion. So thank you for that. So I am the founder of IamAFeminineLeader.com. And I started building this website when I was at the peak of mental and physical illness, being a stay-at-home mom, wondering what my next chapter was. And even though I had all of these challenges and these unanswered questions in front of me, I had this innate, insatiable desire to create something. And so that intuitive knowing was what drove positive change for me. And that was how I started to make those connections at that time to build what I have now, which is my website and the programs that I'm developing. And I do support some clients, and I've worked for organizations in community building and engagement and partner relations. And that is because of my aptitude for building connections and connecting people who need to be connected. It's not just about me, it's about who else is out there and who needs to get connected to create impact together. And so my most recent venture was centered around that. It was around making sure that that community had access to all of the meaningful connections that they needed to keep the momentum of their community going. And, you know, a lot of people, when they see, you know, a title on a resume, or they see a work history on LinkedIn, they really associate that with a person's leadership. You know, oh, you're a community manager. Oh, you're a sales manager. You're a, you know, whatever the title is. But my belief is that when you truly identify, articulate, and embody your unique leadership style, it has absolutely nothing to do with the title that you carry in your career. It has everything to do with who you are as a person. And Michelle, the holistic producer, builds communities, can engage communities, can be a partnership activator. But Michelle, the holistic producer, is who she is in all of those different roles. And all of those different roles are what I can do. So there is a differentiator there. And that is, I feel, the richness of the program, is that it is having this approach to all professionals, event planners, admins, managers, all people in a business context, to say that your title does not dictate how you connect or if you are a connector.
I feel like I just need to give that a second to land. For those of you that are watching, and anyone that knows Michelle, you'll know that her heart is to connect people well. And it's not, one thing I admire about you, Michelle, is that you have this ability, you'll internalize something that you know it's resonating with you. And then we'll talk the next week, you're like, so I did that thing. So I created that website, or my program is half done, or my whatever it is, or I'm, you know, you've got this incredible editorial that you present every month. But what I admire so much is the moving from the knowledge. And sometimes we get stuck in our heads, and I'll speak to myself, but I get stuck in my head, and then it's really hard to make that shift sometimes if we're not aware, if we're not really conscious of where we can actually have that impact in the world, where we can have a contribution in someone's life. And so this idea of knowing is one thing, and the program does address, we want you guys to master the 4 levels of event planning and promotion. That's the curriculum. That's what we call the 30-day build. But within that, exactly what you're saying, Michelle, within that, you might find that something's awakening, like it was for you, Michelle, where it's like, there's something else that I'm capable of doing because of this knowledge, because of this passion to connect people. This is what it could practically look like. And that's where it gets, and I'd love for you to speak to that, but I think that's where it can become fun, and it can start to include others in the journey. So could you tell us a little bit about how you taking that step, because it was a difficult time last year, and you actually did the hard work of saying, what could this look like? And once you stepped into that, it seemed like, from sort of the outside perspective, you were attracting people to the work that you were doing and are currently doing, that would help it grow. Could you tell a little bit about that? Like, what was that like? So when you started sort of branching out a little bit, and then what you found on the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we all possess that energy within us to create that karma around us. And it really can only be truly supported and flourish and thrive when we are expressing ourselves authentically. And that is something that is very difficult to do, because society has a very defined container of what leadership and what success looks like and what it represents. And I was caught in that cycle. I was caught in trying to fit the mold, to fulfill the expectations that were around me so that I could feel successful and feel like I was a leader. And it was only when I busted away from that completely, did real positive change start to happen for me. And it still happens, you know, it's an organic process because we are humans and we grow and adapt and evolve depending on where we are, you know, what we're doing, who is in our lives. And so I've had the incredible opportunity to work with some really diverse and talented women and professionals who have been the guides back to myself. Because, you know, like I said before, I've had a couple career pivots, and I mean, on the surface, it might seem a little confusing, or people might wonder, well, what was that all about? Where did she did that? And then she did that. And it's like, what? And it's like, but I'm really, truly grateful for every opportunity that I had in my professional career, because every single experience ultimately brought me back to myself to say, yes, I can do this. I can do this job, but it's not what I'm meant to do. Or it told me, no, Michelle, don't do this job. Like, move on, you know, or, you know, you as a connector, right? It's also important to me to provide value in my connections. So what I've been learning a lot in the last year, especially, is where I provide the most value and how to still foster, you know, deep connections, even in times when I know that I may not be the best connector for that person. So, you know, every human being has a need and a desire or an objective, whatever. And if you are in the Connection Architect program, you will learn how to discern when you are the right connector. And if you are not the right connector, then you will have the capacity to connect someone that is right for that person because of your connecting abilities. And I think that is the most powerful thing of it all, because it's not just all about us. We're not the be all end all. It's a community. And the resourcefulness and the diversity of our community is what makes us all strong.
Right. I think in all of this, exactly what you're saying, I have learned over my many years of challenges, and sometimes I say the joys and the hard knocks of the work that I've done, and I wouldn't even call them pivots, but the joke was, as I was going through my career, how every year or two I was wearing a different hat. And it might have been a PR hat, a marketing hat, a design hat, events, you know, whatever it was, that I was taking on different things. And from the outside, it might have looked like a pivot, but it truly was an expansion of what I really came to know as an abundant world with so many opportunities, and not just in a squirrel way, but in a way that it was like, that is so cool. If I could learn that skill, if I could understand what it meant to create a video or to design a magazine or whatever it was, if I could learn that, can you imagine what I could do with, you know, where that would fit in my journey? And I think giving it validity, the pivots validity, it doesn't mean, and your story is a perfect example of this. Just because you've had pivots in your life, or you've kind of changed directions, or you've taken on different roles, and some were a fit and some were not, that's part of the journey. And anyone that is willing to go there, and that's why we say in the program content and on our website, we say, are you bold? Are you ready to risk? Are you ready to put yourself out there? Because it isn't comfortable necessarily to not have a title, not have somebody validating what you have worked so hard to become, where you start to give, I talk a lot about giving yourself permission to step in and be that person and do the work. And anyone, I believe anyone can build better connections through the context of an event and a promotion for an event. So I'm so thrilled what we're building together. Like you say, this is a community build. We're doing some barn building over here. But I'm so thrilled, Michelle, that you are taking the role that you are in this community. I know that you are going to offer so much value, not just to our mentors, because we're right now in the thick of really seeing where everybody fits, and we're excited to be revealing those interviews that you're doing here coming up in the next couple of days, but also the incredible value you're going to offer to the members that are part of the community. They are going to learn from your journeys, and like all of us on the mentor team, they're going to learn from your joys and all of those successes, but they're also going to learn from your story and some of those difficulties. And there's always more to the story. So I know we can't touch on all of it today. Anything you want to leave with the people watching today? And then also, how can they find you?
Absolutely. So thank you, Lisa. I just want to say that if you're watching this video and you're considering whether this program is for you, just take a moment to reflect on what feels natural to you in your career, what flows naturally, organically from you and feels good and produces, and what doesn't. Because we all have parts of our jobs, parts of our personal lives that just flow and feel good and are very nourishing. And then we have parts that are more challenging and feel kind of conflicting with us. And just discerning what those things are will help you to identify how your connecting points are serving you and how you can optimize them. Because I truly believe that, we're not meant to do everything and be everything to everyone. Being a connector means that you bring in and you're resourceful with who you are and the people that are around you. So, and the Connection Architect Certificate program can help you to do that. So I just want to say that. And then if anyone is interested in connecting with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also go to my website, IamAFeminineLeader.com, and I'm on Instagram as well, I Am a Feminine Leader. And I'm happy to connect with anyone who is interested in exploring their leadership, because I truly believe it is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself in the world.
Thank you. Again, I'm so happy that we're moving forward. For those of you that are watching, thanks for watching to the end of this interview, this conversation with dear Michelle. There are more to come. We're going to be posting those videos of our mentors coming up. You'll want to get to know them. Amazing individuals, amazing leaders, and people that will feed into your future in ways that you probably at this point have never experienced before. The combination of what we've got going on for this program is built for you. So you can find the website. It's TheConnectionArchitect.ca, and you connect with me on LinkedIn. You're welcome to find us on all our social streams, but at Lisa Gareau. I am very much looking forward to seeing where we can go in the fall, how we're going to be growing this community, and everyone is welcome. There are no barriers for you to be involved. There's no prerequisite for you to be signing on, being part of the community, or even being part of the challenges. And the 30-day build that's coming up, it's all open to everyone. So thank you again, Michelle. Thank you for all of you for watching. And again, it's TheConnectionArchitect.ca. We'll see you there.